What is up, guys? My name is Brent Ruiz and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, as you can see behind me, I have the MCLAREN 720S inside of my garage. Now, I have spent the past couple of days with this car, driving the crap out of it, trying to see what this car really is all about. And well, I've come up with 5 things I love and 5 things I absolutely hate about this car, which I'm gonna go into in this video. So if that sounds fun, please give this video a big fat like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Now, if you're not familiar with my channel, I am a supercar enthusiast. I have been for years, and I have pretty much turned that passion into a YouTube channel. You can expect to see POV drives, supercar reviews, supercar builds, which I am doing a build on my Ferrari 458 right now. Link in the description below for the playlist. But yeah, supercar anything, if that's what you're into, please hit that beautiful subscribe button for me and let's help grow this community. So moving on to the 720S. Wow, that looks pretty sick from the side profile. Anyway, this is not my car, by the way. I'm just borrowing it for a couple days, and I have really been considering purchasing a 720S, seeing as how they've come down in value so much. I tell you guys, this is one of the best bargains in the supercar market today. Please check out my other full review video of this car where I go in depth on that. All right, so let's get the video started with the 5 things I hate about this car. There's a lot to love about this car, so I'm just gonna like flip the tables a little bit and start with the 5 things I hate about this car. So let's go inside to show you the first one. This was a major pain point, and it still kind of is. If there's one thing that I'm gonna remember the most about the first full day I had with this car, it has to do with the freaking seat controls. They have been such a pain for me to learn. They're over here on this side. I'm gonna get on the other side to show you more. I probably need a flashlight as well, but under these 3 buttons, there's like a randomly assorted array of buttons that, oh my God, like, as you can see, it is super hard for me to even show you guys the buttons. Like, they're so in there, and just when you're feeling around, like, I had no idea what the heck I was touching. There's like so many buttons and they're like all different shapes. I barely got used to it. This is my second day with the car and I barely got used to it. And I still there's times when I'm in there trying to adjust the seats and I still get things wrong. So let me get the flashlight on my phone and let me see if I can actually show you guys these buttons properly. All right, so I had to get in the passenger seat to actually show you this, but now that I'm actually shining a light on these buttons, it does look a little bit more like, it's making more sense to me. But just imagine like if you were just in this seat with your right hand just fuddling over these controls, trying to figure out what all that stuff is and what it does. Looking at it now in the light, it does make a little bit more sense, but when you're just like fiddling around here, there were times where I thought I was actually moving the seat forward, but it would just keep moving back. The button's actually all the way down here. As you can see here, this is making the seat go forward. I would think that the button that is right next to the one that makes it go forward is the one that makes it go back, right? But as you can see, it makes it go up or down. And then next to that is the one that makes it go back. So that was really confusing me a lot when I just was basically playing blind with those buttons right there. So yeah, the seat controls, definitely not the easiest seat controls in the world. But yeah, that's number 1 on my hate list. Let's move on to the next. Jumping back into the driver's seat, let's turn the power on again. Now, this number 2 on my hate list has to do with this gauge cluster display, especially the way that it shows when it's folded, which I'm gonna do that right now for you guys with this button here. So obviously when it does that, that's absolutely awesome, right? You've never really seen that in any other car before, which is sick. But let me just go ahead and start this up because I want to show you what actually shows here when the car is on. Okay, so basically, just close the door here. As you can see, you have the gear that you're in, and your tachometer, and then your miles per hour. But the thing I don't like about this is that you can't change the display of what appears here. The thing that's really missing from that cool little folded down display are your tire temperatures, which would appear right here if I was actually driving. But yeah, that is something definitely that I would love to see on this folded display, or at least have a button somewhere here where I can switch this up and show that. Let me just turn the car off. And the argument there is that I really would love to see the tire temperatures, the pressures, at the same time as that other vital information. Now, you'll always hear McLaren reference that this car is built on Formula One technology, and the same goes for that folded display. Now, the thing is that Formula One steering wheels have insane amount of data on them, including tire pressures, tire temperatures, all that jazz. So having some kind of button here on the dashboard somewhere, maybe even implementing it into the steering wheel, maybe we'll see that in future generations of the Super Series cars here, but that would be really, really helpful. And it's not really something that I hate, but it is something that I would really love to see. Okay, so let's go on to number 3, the number 3 reason that I hate this car. I'm sure that you guys have heard more than once how bad McLaren build quality can be. Not just build quality, but like the electronic system, just stuff tends to go wrong with McLarens. There's tons of videos on YouTube that you can probably just search up right now and easily find of owners, actual owners of these cars complaining about like half of their ownership time has the car being spent at the dealership. This is not a fake thing. This is really, really prevalent among McLarens, and it is not a new thing. It has been a problem with McLaren forever. On the 720S, for example, a big problem that owners have been experiencing is their windshield cracking out of nowhere. And it is a big, big problem, and it happens a lot. So as somebody who may potentially be interested in this car one day, I keep thinking like of all the horror stories that I've really heard about McLarens, all the build quality problems that these cars have. It's like you get lucky or you don't. You get a good car or you don't. So I have a lot of bad luck just in general. So if I were to buy one of these cars, I feel that I would be in that unlucky column when it comes to getting a good McLaren, and that kind of scares me. So just to give you guys a quick little glimpse of what I'm talking about on this particular car, which I have found a few little minor issues with. For example, right here, you can see that this bottom panel right here at the edge doesn't really line up perfectly with the next one up here. I mean, it's pretty minor, but it could be a little bit more perfect. The doors, they squeak. Check this out. Do you guys hear that? It's this hinge. It is really annoying and not very supercar-ish, by the way. Check out that lighting. The ambient light is pretty sick. Just coming out on the other side so you can see that it's not just the other door that does the sound. Yep, those hinges suck. Another big item that I noticed here is in the engine bay. And this big gap, let's compare this, which is obviously kind of pretty blatant on how big that gap is. Compare that to the other side here. It's much less of a gap here in comparison, so that is definitely not right. Man, that is always like, if McLaren just fixed that issue with their cars, they'd be perfect. Like, I really hope that McLaren gets their act together and does address that, because man, that's really the only downside to owning a McLaren. Build quality paranoia, that is definitely one big reason why I hate this car. And now that we're just talking about the exterior issues real quick, I do want to give a really negative shout out to this gas cap. Look how cheap this is. Like, it's very, very flimsy, as you can see. This doesn't scream quality in a $350,000 supercar, which is basically a hypercar level of performance. Yeah, this is the gas cap here. Pretty sad. Okay, back inside here for number 4. The number 4 reason I don't really like this car has to do with the shift pedals. Now, it is a preference thing, but I like my shift pedals on the steering column as opposed attached to the steering wheel. Now, overall, the shift pedals are actually really, really cool in this car. As you can see, they are very, very large, which the bigger the better when it comes to shift pedals in any supercar, that's for sure. And the matte carbon fiber finish looks absolutely insane. I'm actually becoming more and more of a fan of matte carbon fiber. Anyway, now while the pedals being on the steering wheel itself isn't the biggest deal, I can get used to it, I really don't like the sound that they make when you shift them. That clicking noise, which all McLarens are known for, and I know it's not that big of a deal, but it is a pretty loud clicking noise. It's not really subtle at all. And it does have a very tactile feel, which is awesome. The feel of the pedals is really, really good. When you shift them, pull them back, it's really, really good. So I don't really see the need for McLaren to put in this annoying clicking noise. Definitely a nitpick on my side, but it does really remind me of those Logitech racing wheels that you use for playing racing games on your PlayStation or Xbox. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that, McLaren. I don't know. Okay, moving on to number 5. The number 5 reason why I hate this car. No, I don't really hate it. This is more of a nitpick list if you haven't noticed yet, but it has to do with the engine bay right here. As you can see, there is no real easy way to access or see the 4-liter turbocharged V8 that is pretty much hidden away in there, which is pretty sad. Now, McLaren will give you a tool so you can take this apart and at least like gain access to inside of there. But the best thing that they can really do is, let's just turn the power on there. And only then will it illuminate in red so you can actually see more of the actual engine in there, which is a pretty cool touch. But coming from like Ferraris, where they really put a big effort into displaying their entire engine bay and making the entire bonnet area, you would be able to, this whole rear bonnet, it would just be one big piece so you can lift it up and expose the entire engine bay, which is awesome. And I love Ferrari for that, and Lamborghini does the same thing. So McLaren, with this pretty sad excuse for well, the light turned off now, but pretty sad excuse for an engine bay. Yeah, that's kind of another thing I don't really like about this car. All right, so that's all the bad stuff. Let's get on to all the good stuff. Now, the first thing I really love about this car, and I'm sure many people do, is how easy this car is to get into. These dihedral doors, the way they open up is almost reminiscent of the GT40, the way like pretty much half of the roof is gone. Look how big that entryway is, and that's really important because of how big this door sill is, which pretty much all McLarens are known for because of the monocage chassis that they run. But yeah, once you have opened the doors, you just can drop yourself in there like this. And in literally 1 second, you are inside. It is so easy, no matter how tall you are. This is definitely one of the easiest supercars to get into that I've pretty much ever been in. And when you're getting out, as you can imagine, it's pretty easy as well. There is this huge door sill to still contend with, but you just do one of these and you can just use your arm on this door sill. That's exactly why McLaren padded this particular area of the door sill, so you can just rest your arm on there and pretty much give you leverage to get out, and it's really, really easy. So the number two reason I really love this car has to do with the visibility that you get from sitting inside. You can see pretty much everything. When you're sitting in the driver's seat, you can see perfectly your fender on both sides, which allows you to place the car so much more precisely. Another thing that really helps with the visibility is, well, or not just the visibility, but the overall vibe, is the way that they've designed the roof, and that has to do with this piece right here. Now, unfortunately, this car does not have that option where this would be replaced with glass, which would obviously make the cabin a lot less claustrophobic, allowing a lot more light in there when you're driving, which just makes the whole experience that much better. Now, the other thing I want to point out that when I was driving this car really helps a lot are these two, basically the C-pillar here. They're glazed, so this is completely see-through the glass, and here as well. So when you're doing your lane changes, there's no blind spot monitoring in this car. So when you're doing one of those or doing one of those, you can totally see out of your blind spot. So the blind spot monitor, you don't even need it in this car. The visibility there is really, really good, and a big part of that are these C-pillars being glass. Okay, so number 3 and number 4 for the reasons that I love this car. Number 3, the steering wheel. I freaking love the feel of the wheel. Just how thin it is, and it really gives you that perfect 9-3 grip right here. Like when I was driving in the canyons, check out those videos, by the way, especially the POV drive of this car. Oh my God, this is like, just the feel of the steering wheel totally transports you into, like, you're basically a race car driver when you feel this steering wheel. It is absolutely amazing. This is probably one of the best parts about this entire car, and for pretty much all McLarens, I always remember them having that kind of feel with their steering wheel, and obviously the matte carbon fiber finish making this thing look absolutely awesome. Talking about the shift paddles, look how big they are. That's a perfect size, and they are on that awesome McLaren renowned rocker system, so you can both downshift and upshift with a single hand, which is pretty handy. All right, so the steering wheel is absolutely awesome. I love it. Let's move on to number 4. And that's pretty much the entire interior, just how everything is done in here. The fit and finish is amazing. Everything feels really, really sturdy and well put together. Everything is Alcantara pretty much as far as you can see, and the cool part about it is that there's not much plastic in here. The only real plastic is at the bottom of the seats, maybe on the back side of these speaker surrounds back here. The air vents are feeling pretty plasticky right there, but overall, you have an amazing amount of Alcantara combined with this awesome matte finish carbon fiber, which you can also get in gloss. But this car, I actually really love it and probably do prefer it in matte on this 720. Man, look at the doors. Just coming out and checking out the doors here, you have Alcantara even on the bottom. So they really didn't skimp out on putting the Alcantara on this car. The stitching looks really good, the orange accents. Overall, it's really minimalistic in here, but when you're in there and you're driving, you can really feel, like the first time that I got in here and in the driver's seat, I could really tell that this thing was built for the track. And that is just how they built the interior and just the whole vibe you get in there. So while some people have had some issues with the exterior stuff, like the body panels not aligning properly and stuff like that, I do think that the interior is really well done. You know, when you're in a car and it's getting some vibration in the dashboard or certain areas of the car, and you just like give it a good wallop like that, like when you do that in this car, it's very, very solid. So I can imagine that no matter how many miles are put on this car, that the vibrations coming from the dashboard or anywhere inside of the interior here, I would be very, very surprised to ever have any of those noises become a problem with the build quality that, upon first glance and just a couple days with the car, I have not really had any issues with that. So great job, McLaren, on the build quality of the interior. Okay, so last but definitely not least, number 5, the 5th reason I really love this car is its practicality. Yeah, this thing is actually pretty practical, and that has a lot to do with the storage space. You get a ton of room inside the front here. So let's open that up with the key. Check this out. It is actually pretty similar to how much room there is in Ferraris, and Ferraris are really known for having a good amount of storage space in here. But not only that, McLaren has also added a ton more back here behind the seats. What a great idea, right? Just pulling this seat back, you can see inside here, tons of space in here, which you can pretty much store whatever you want in there. But on this car, I'm not sure where it is or if it's an option, but it doesn't have the straps that like you put stuff under, and then the straps obviously hold everything in place, because when you're in a car that's very, very fast, you don't want things flying around when you're either accelerating or braking very, very hard. You also get a good amount of little storage pockets here and there. There's one here in the door on the passenger side as well. You get some netting on the back side there. You have even a couple cup holders and some room there in the center console as well for your phone, wallet, that kind of thing. Although this car actually does not have a glove box, surprisingly enough. Stuff like these little pocket areas do definitely kind of help with compensating for that. So overall, ton of space in here, ton of space in there, ton of space in here. I could definitely see myself daily driving a car like this. When you consider that this car is a full-blown track weapon, the fact that you can have all this space at the same time, do road trips in it, do pretty much whatever you want in it, that's definitely impressive. So that is the 5th and final reason why I love this car. All right, guys, so those are the 5 things I love and the 5 things I absolutely hate about this car. No, I don't really hate anything about this car. They're just nitpicks, as you can imagine. And overall, guys, the 720S is freaking awesome. If you have not yet watched my other 2 videos on this car, the full review that I have of this car, and also the POV Canyon Drive, please check out previous videos on my channel, or just in the description below. I'm gonna link them directly. So don't miss those 2 videos if you haven't watched them already. But guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed watching, please don't forget to give this video a big fat like and hit that beautiful subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. That's it for now. Until the next one, I'll see you guys very, very soon. Deuces!